Hello, and thanks for joining the webinar today. My name is Emily Bradley, and I am part of Medit's training and education team. And today we are going to be addressing understanding the AI features in MeditLink. So kind of helping the end users understand how to better utilize these AI features to benefit your clinic. Before we do get started with the webinar, I'd like to remind everybody that as always, this webinar is recorded. This recording will be made available on Medit's training platforms and YouTube, so you can go and watch it later if you want to review some more of the AI features. Also, we want to hear from our end users. If you have questions about the webinar, or if you have ideas of other webinars or other questions you might have regarding your MeditLink, stay till the end of the webinar, and I'm going to provide you an email address that you can direct all your questions to, and somebody will get back to you as soon as possible with answers to those questions. So that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to minimize, or I'm actually going to shut my camera off so that we can go full screen with understanding the AI features better. So let me go ahead and shut my camera off here. Okay, and so as mentioned here, we've got understanding the AI features in MeditLink. I'm going to go ahead and flip to the next slide here really quick before we get into our MeditLink. So we're going to cover the features here. We've got smart stitching, smart scan filtering, smart color filtering, which has to do with filtering out the glove color, AI scan body matching, AI abutment matching, smart arrows, smart scan guide, and the smart shade guide. We'll also touch on the metal tool, metal scan, just so everybody understands how that works. Before again getting into MeditLink, I'm going to just show a quick little video here regarding the AI engine. So let's go ahead and play this. So with scanning with the Medit, the AI engine is always at work. The AI engine has the ability to distinguish gingiva, soft tissue, teeth, helping to make scanning quick and easy without the typical lag that often comes with intraoral scanning. The AI engine is advanced and can distinguish between gums, tongues, the palate, cheeks, lips, and so forth. You can see the software recognizes what they are and filters them out automatically. So by just looking at the coloration on the screen here, once filtered of these unnecessary images, your scan data becomes cleaner and is ready for any type of design or fabrication process. The different colors just represent the different types of tissue. So you'll see that dentition, teeth, gingiva, all that, it recognizes the difference between those. And even that pink on the occlusal surface of that second molar is actually the AI engine identifying metal. So an amalgam filling there. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to jump right into our first AI feature in MeditLink. All right, so we're here in Medit Scan for Clinics. So I previously created a case in MeditLink, an RX form, so you can see my case information over here on the left-hand side. And I'm going to go ahead and select our first scan stage here at the top of the screen for those of you who are new with Medit. Down here, we've got some of the features, the AI features that we'll be covering today, along with some of the features over here in Tools. So let's go ahead before we start with our first AI feature, and let's just create, let's just scan a model actually. Let's get some scan data here. So I typically like to scan with a model when I'm doing my demonstrations, just so I can kind of talk through them. We're going to pull forward on the occlusal surface here, and we're going to go back on the occlusal surface. Now let's go ahead and rotate towards the buccal, and we're going to pick up that labial and buccal information. So I'm kind of rocking the scanner as we do that so that we can pick up those holes as we go. Rotate up and over here. And we're not looking for a real perfect scan right now because we're going to utilize the scan to understand some more of the AI features. And I do have to apologize in advance right now. Sometimes while utilizing the webinar platform, it can actually make the scan appear glitchy when in reality it is not. So we've got our scan data here. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this using the remote control button on my scanner. And we're going to see, okay, I'm going to take my mouse here and I'm going to point out some areas where we're kind of lacking information, where we would obviously want to add some more information there. So if you have the i600, you can obviously rotate the model with the mouse. The great thing about the i700 and the i700 wireless is the remote control on your scanner. So you can actually use this to rotate, pan, and zoom the model on the screen. Okay, so let's jump right in. I'm going to put my scanner down and I'm going to jump right into basically the first AI feature we'd like to talk about, and it's smart scan filtering right here at the bottom of the screen. We're going to start with the second option here. This is set as default, and this is teeth and gingiva. So this basically scans teeth, all gingiva, hard palate, but it does filter out soft tissues. So cheek, tongue, lips, it will filter those out, making scanning significantly easier now. It's no longer an issue that you have to go in and cut out a little bit of cheek here on the buccal surface of the scan data. It no longer is there. It's been filtered out, even though this is a model. But when you scan patients, those of you who are scanning patients on a regular basis will have noticed that the scan is significantly faster and it's easier to pick up scan data. Now let's go ahead and bump this filter to the left. So right here, we're on no filter. This is best, this option one, the soft tissue will remain intact. So this is actually not going to filter out any soft tissue. This option is great for scanning recessed gingiva areas or border areas. The soft tissue will not be filtered out. It's best to use this feature right here while scanning a dentulous patient. So if there was no teeth, it does not filter tissue, so it gives you a better opportunity and chance to pick up that scan data in an edentulous area. Okay, we're going to take this, we're going to slide it back. That again, that's our default, teeth and gingiva. Right here, this is intense teeth and gingiva. So option number 3 here is basically for scanning teeth and gingiva. This helps by not collecting the soft tissue, saving on trimming time. So again, you're not going to have the ability to scan the whole palate here with this one, but it does pick up a few millimeters of tissue or of gingiva as you're scanning here. This option is best if you're scanning for clear aligners. It saves time when it comes to utilizing the trimming tools because we're not picking up as much as the gingiva as we go. And let's take the slider all the way to the right hand side here. So I'll hover over that so it's just teeth. This option is good when scan data has been collected, like you see on the screen, and more scan data is needed only on the teeth. This is a good option to use. So that right down here, this is our smart scan filter option. So let's go ahead and let's bump this all the way back to the default here for teeth and gingiva. Next, we're going to touch on this icon right here. This is metal scan. I can turn it on or off by just clicking on this icon. As you guys saw in the AI engine video that we played initially, I believe it was a second molar, you could see pink on the occlusal surface. That is actually the AI software or AI engine picking up the details of metal. It comes as default turned on. Turn it on, leave it on. If you have it turned off, it's not going to affect the scanning of your natural dentition, but it will allow you to pick up the details in metal easier. So whether it's a metal crown or whether it's just an amalgam filling, go ahead and keep this on and it will give you the ability to scan over that metal without the issue that's been experienced in the past while scanning metal with a little bit of lag or slowing down. Okay, so our next AI feature. So we've got 3 covered so far. We've got this one over here, our smart scan filtering. Over here, we've got our metal scan. We're going to touch on the smart color filtering. Okay, it can be turned on or off right here by clicking this icon at the bottom of the screen. You can see I have 3 colors entered so far. Okay, so let's go ahead and click the little filter and let's delete this guy here. I'm going to go ahead and delete the one that we have selected. What I'm going to do is pick up a glove. I'm going to put this glove on and I'm going to just scan the glove with the scanner. So I'll pick up my scanner, place it over the glove and press the start button. And we're just going to pick up the color of the glove. Go ahead and set my scanner back down. And you can see here the color extraction at the bottom of the screen. Okay, if we're happy with that, we're going to go ahead and press confirm. So this gives us the opportunity to select what glove color we're actually scanning with for the day. So, and then I'll just click on or off of one accordingly. It's important to note that you do not want to scan or utilize gloves in this manner if they're pink, the color of gingiva, or if they're white or kind of a pale yellow that may be similar to the color of teeth, because it will filter that color out. Obviously, we don't want to filter out any gingiva or teeth at this point in time. And also do not utilize black gloves as well. So typically I say green, blue, purple, and so forth are great when you're scanning out that color or you're filtering out that color. So just as a quick side note, I always, while I'm scanning, I believe scanning is kind of a two-handed job. So I'm right-handed, I hold the scanner in my right hand, but I use the index finger on my left hand to retract the cheek. Coming forward onto the anterior surface, I also use it to retract the lip across the anterior surface. So a lot of times when you're getting the incisal edge, particularly on the lingual surface, and you're facing out towards the labial surface, you will end up scanning your finger at that point in time. But it's not a worry at all, because if your filter's on, it's going to just actually filter out the color of your glove. So you're fine, and there's no need to trim the glove out at that point in time. Okay, so that's our third AI tool that we're just touched on today, and that is called smart color filtering right there at the bottom of the screen. Okay, so next what we're going to do is we're going to do Smart Scan Guide. So you're going to see that this is always working while you're scanning, and this is a tool that was specifically designed to kind of guide beginners. Those of you who are new with intraoral scanning, it's going to give you information or prompts that you can follow. So let me go ahead and get the scanner in place over the occlusal surface. And we're not worried about picking up more scan data right now. What I want to do is show you how the Smart Guide works. So let's go ahead. I'm going to back the scanner away. So do you see that notification on the screen? Your scanner is too far. Right there, let's back it away again. And so when that square goes red, it's going to notify us, obviously, that it stopped picking up scan data. And I'm going to back this away again. And notifications will pop up based on what's happening. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my scanner off here. I wanted you guys to see those notifications pop up so you better understand what they're for. So Smart Scan Guide is like a navigator. It's always running in the background. This feature actually shows alerts on the screen. It just basically notifies the end user what needs to happen in order to continue scanning and pick up reliable data. Again, as shown, that it's just going to notify the end user. This feature also alerts users when the data is overly filtered out due to choosing the incorrect scan option at the bottom of the screen, the filter down here at the bottom. And so if need be, you could switch your filter here. It also will notify you if, for instance, you're using the Medit i700 wireless, if it detects a weak signal. So the user only needs to actually check the message, pay attention when those messages pop up, follow the instructions just like you would follow the GPS navigation unit. It's really a guide, especially for those end users who are beginning their digital journey. As you've been using the scanner, as you use it more and more and more, obviously it becomes easier and easier and easier to use, and you know what to anticipate and exactly that scan technique you need to do. But this offers those beginners prompts and guidance as they get better and better and better. Okay, so that was the Smart Scan Guide. And remember, notifications pop up, prompting the end user, just like a GPS navigation unit. Okay, so we're going to move on to our next AI feature here. So we're going to touch on Smart Stitching right here at the bottom of the screen. It's turned off, it's set as off as the default. I'm going to go ahead and flip it on there just by clicking on the icon. Now we've got the scan data for our maxilla here. What I'm going to do is switch to our next scan stage. So we're going to go ahead and move forward to the mandible scan stage. We're going to do a quick demonstration here. So what you're going to do is watch as the new scan data is being obtained while I'm scanning. So we're going to switch between basic scan technique, and now what we're going to utilize is we're going to hop around a little bit more is basically what we're going to do. So in the past, it was crucial to follow a smooth scan path without losing camera focus while collecting scan data. The skill level of the user or the person who's scanning and the patient's intraoral state could have a significant impact on the process. So with Smart Stitching now, it's no longer the case. So as a Medit trainer, I always like to make sure an end user understands proper scan technique. However, now with Smart Stitching, it gives you the ability to kind of pop around in the mouth a little bit. So I'm going to place it right over the occlusal surface. We're not going to worry about proper scan technique or anything. We're just going to pick up some detail here. I'm going to pick up my scanner and I'm going to move to a different area in the mouth that is not following the basic workflow. Okay, basic scan flow or scan technique. Let's go ahead and pick this area up here in front of it. And I'm going to go ahead and turn the scanner off just so we can explain a few things that you're seeing here on the screen right now. Go ahead and move my mouse out of the way. So over here, we've got the original scan data, and you notice that it's here in a thumbnail image on the left-hand side of the screen. As I'm scanning and I skip to a new area where the software doesn't see how it matches up with the previously scanned area, that scan data will be saved as thumbnail images here on the left-hand side of the screen, and you can have up to 5 thumbnails. I can switch between the scan data by just clicking on the images here on the side of the screen. Now I want to show you what's going to happen as I continue this scan, and we're going to work back towards the occlusal surface of the first and second molar here. So let's go ahead, get the scanner in place on the model. And I'm going to start on an area that I've already scanned. It's going to find itself really quickly. And we're going to just scoot back here on the model. Boom. So did you see how that thumbnail image disappeared on the left-hand side of the screen? And it just merged the scan data. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is pick the scanner up, but I'm going to move to another area on the model that hasn't been scanned yet. We'll give it a second to find itself here. And there we go. Again, we're not worried about proper scan technique. We're just picking up more information here. Go ahead and work our way back on the model just a little bit. And the whole point of this demonstration here is to show you that you can skip around in the mouth. Although I do think it's important, a little bit quicker to follow basic scan technique as you're going along. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to try to move on to our next scan stage. So right here, we've got our occlusal scan stage. Let's go ahead and click on that icon. Whoops, this warning popped up. Warning, perform additional scanning to align them manually or delete unaligned data. So what we're going to do is close this out. I can either delete this here, or I can delete my newer scan data here. So I can either click this little garbage can here, or we can click here and delete all. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to maintain this one just so you guys can see this, and let's go ahead and get rid of this little thumbnail image. At this point in time, I can move on to the next scan stage. It's not going to stop me because there's no unaligned data over here on the side, on the left side of the screen. So again, as I mentioned earlier, it's really important from my perspective to make sure as an end user you understand basic scan technique. I believe that's the fastest way to scan, to follow the path in the mouth, the occlusal zigzag across that incisal edge and so forth. However, now with smart stitching right here at the bottom of the screen, you can move around and skip around the arch as you're scanning the patient's mouth. It's also important to note you are not sacrificing accuracy with the scan data. I get that question a lot. If end users are using smart stitching, is the scan going to be less accurate? And that is absolutely not so. You're still getting the same accuracies with smart stitching as you do if you're following basic scan technique. Okay, so let's move on to our next AI feature. I'm going to take my cursor over here to the settings wheel by the calibration tool on the lower left-hand side of the screen. Let's go ahead and click that settings wheel. And I'm going to just move up here to scanning assist. Now, like everything with Medit, Medit likes to offer its end users the tools to do their work the way they would like to. So here's smart arrows. You can either turn it on or off based on your preference. Okay, it default set as off. Again, you're going to come to settings here, up to scanning assist, and over to the smart arrows tool. Let's go ahead and close out here. And you can see now with the smart arrows on, those arrows are indicating areas where it's not reliable data at this point in time. Okay, so based on the scan results, the smart arrow function employs indicators to show locations with low reliable data. When scan is complete, the blue arrows shown to indicate where the data is not reliable can be cleared out by actually adding scan data to those areas. So most of the time you'll see that around where there's a hole there maybe, or around border areas, kind of edges of the scan and so forth. So watch as I pick up my scanner, and I'm going to go ahead and start scanning again, and you'll see how those smart arrows vanish as I add more data to that area. Here we go, we got rid of one there. And I'm going to come across that labial surface there. And again, what I think is really important, and I'm not going to try to get rid of all of them right now because it's not important at this point in time. Let's go ahead and stop. Again, you'll see the border areas there where there's actually indicating where there's unreliable data. Okay, so another tool that can be utilized also if you're looking for kind of understanding when your data is reliable and you're good to move on and order your case, This icon here on the right-hand side, okay, this displays our PLY file. If I go ahead and click on that icon, you can see the STL file, the colorless file here. One more click is going to show me the reliability map. So we can see here, I've got red areas around the border, obviously, and kind of red areas around that, the holes or areas where there's no scan data there. You're going to see that this tool is also very convenient in identifying areas where you need more information. So as I scan and I add more scan data, that red area goes away and it becomes green, okay? So again, that's called the reliability map. I know a lot of people who prefer to scan this way. It's red until the information or data is reliable, and then it goes green. And you can get back to your PLY file by just clicking this icon here on the right-hand side. And again, just so everybody understands, go ahead and click on the settings wheel here up to scanning assist. I know we're repeating ourselves here, and go ahead and turn those smart arrows off if that's your choice. It's completely up to you. Let's move on to our next AI feature. To do so, I'm going to actually go back to the maxilla scan stage. Just because when we created the case, we obviously in the RX form, we selected number 8. We're going to do tooth number 8 here basically as a crown is what was selected in the RX form prior to starting the webinar. So what I'm going to do now is take my cursor over to the left-hand side and select the Smart Shade Guide. Okay, we'll click there. So down here at the bottom is showing which tooth I actually selected in the RX form. If there are other teeth that you want to select, you can go ahead and open that. And you can toggle with this little bar here at the bottom in order to move to different teeth there. Let's go ahead and close that out. So we've got number 8. If you click on this little icon right here, you'll be able to view all the shades that you have selected. So right now I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to use the left click to select a portion of the tooth here. Medit AI technology offers us 3 options here. I've got A2 with a star by it. So any option with a star by it is what the AI software is actually recommending for us to choose. B2 or A1. So let's go ahead and select what the software suggests. And we are going to select an area right here. Let's do in the middle of the tooth. So those of you in dentistry know teeth are not one solid color or shade. There's multiple shades. There's translucency in the incisal edges in a lot of teeth. So it's important if you're really going to create an aesthetic restoration to understand the coloration and shade of teeth. So let's go ahead and select A1 right there. And let's grab something here on the incisal edge. Okay, so it's suggesting B1 here. Okay, so I'm going to select that there. So we've kind of got a gradient of colors here on the labial surface of the tooth. One thing I do want to show you here, let's say I'm going to select right here on the tooth. So I can do up to 5 shades on a tooth. I've got my shade guide here at the top. So I can either do Vita Classic or Vita 3D Master. And then down here at the bottom, I can actually do a manual selection. So if I don't like the options that are being offered to me, I can do manual and I can go ahead and make a selection there based off of my preference, okay? So by clicking again this icon here, I can either hide all the selections or I can show the shades that were selected. And this little icon right here next to this top one, that's actually identifying the shade that I picked in the RX form. So once I'm happy with the shades that I've selected, I'm going to select the confirm shade here. And this is how it's going to save to MeditLink. So it gives us 2 options here. I can either attach the image and update my RX form, or I can actually just attach the image. So let's go ahead. We're going to say attach image and update. Give it a second here. And then anytime the tools are selected here, so whether it's a trimming tool or the other tools here, in order to get out of the tools, I'm just going to click on that tool to turn it off. Again, if you're using the scanner and let's say maybe you just got back to the patient, scanner set and ready and placed in the patient's mouth, the first click on the blue start stop button on your scanner will actually turn the tool off. The second click will actually get the scanner started. So just little kind of tips and tricks you can utilize if you're already with the patient. You don't need to come back and touch your mouse to turn the tool off. First click the blue button, it'll turn the tool off for you and so forth. So, okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to move on to what is our last section here with the features. I'm going to go ahead and pull up another presentation. Okay, so what you're seeing on the page right now is the AI scan body matching tool. So after the implant surgery, you need to scan the scan body to acquire the 3D positioning data of the implant. Because the placement in the mouth, it can be quite challenging to scan multiple scan bodies. And with multiple scan bodies also comes an increased possibility of error. So first and foremost, you're going to collect the soft tissue scan without the scan body in there. And that's really important for the lab technician because they are actually, it gives the emergence profile of the tooth. So let's go ahead and see how this is done here. By selecting the scan body scan stage at the bottom of the screen here, we're going to do AI scan body matching, and we're going to select define library. Select the library at the top of the screen, and it's just going to prompt us. So first we're going to select the company, the implant company. Next, we're going to select the implant. So you'll see how as you're selecting, it's going to drop down into type. So we're going to select the type and the subtype. Okay, as soon as we do this, you're going to see the scan body appear on the right-hand side of the screen. Select the tooth and assign. Now, let's just click on the plus sign here really quick so you understand that this is how you would upload the library if you had a library to upload. Okay, so we confirmed, and you'll see the scan body at the top of the screen there. Perfect. So our next step is actually going to be after we select the tooth there at the bottom of the screen. Now we need to scan the scan body in the mouth. So we're going to come across the buccal surface here. I want you to watch closely. Boom, there it is. It happens so quick. The AI software is able to detect the scan body library that we selected, and it merges that. So why is that beneficial, you may think? In many areas or many times you're scanning scan bodies, those scan bodies are in really difficult to reach places. Sometimes it's difficult getting the distal of that scan body. So what this does, as soon as that AI software recognizes the scan body library that we chose that we're scanning in the mouth, it then merges that and we're done with the scan at that point in time. So we're going to now select the next portion here. And this is just kind of important. I want you guys to understand this. So this shows in use. So this one right here, we're just going to show what it looks like if you were to take that into CAD, ExoCAD, and you see how clean the scan body scan is. And also it depicts here where that implant is in the mouth. And then over to the right-hand side, you'll see where the scan body is not in use. It doesn't have the accuracy and the clean look that it does once the AI scan body matching tool is actually in use. Okay, so what we're going to touch on next is the AI abutment matching tool. Okay, let's go ahead and just play this so you can see the demonstration here. Okay, so this shows the basic use of AI abutment matching feature. If the user uses stock abutments, they can ask for the library from the manufacturing company and add it as a library. So this is a stock abutment. Keep in mind, this is not a custom abutment. So you're going to start scanning the stock abutment in the mouth, okay? We're going to then select the library here. We don't have it, we're going to add it. Click the plus line there. You've just received that stock abutment library from your manufacturer, and we're going to add it now. There it is. You see how quick and easy it is to add this within your own Medit link. Select the tooth and assign. There we go. So you'll see that stock abutment information there on the screen right below the model that was scanned. Let's go ahead and select the tooth number. Okay. And so what's next? It's that simple. I'm going to get the scanner in place and start to scan that stock abutment in the mouth. Okay, there you go. There's it. It merged perfectly with the library that we just actually added. Now, why would this be important to be able to add a stock abutment library? Generally with a stock abutment or even a custom abutment, those margins are subgingival. So it's going to be difficult to pick up a really clean image of that margin to send on to your lab technician. And this makes it so that scan data is collected very easily. It aligns with the library, and it also cuts back on scan time. Okay, so let's move on to the next portion here. Last but not least is our AI abutment matching and registered abutment tool. Okay, so let's go ahead and see how this works. We're going to go ahead and select the scan stage at the top of the screen. Okay. So what we're doing here, as you can see, is this custom abutment is being scanned out of the mouth. You can hold it in your hand as you scan, I've done it many times, and often, I've dropped the abutment while scanning. So we found that it really works nicely to actually use an adhesive or something that you can set down, scan the custom abutment. Go ahead and scan for as much detail as you possibly can. And then we'll go ahead and inspect this custom abutment. And remember, the one that you just saw earlier was a stock abutment. That's something that you would pick up from your manufacturer. This is custom designed for this patient's case. So we've got this custom abutment. We're going to scan it, inspect your scan data. And if you need more data, you're going to go ahead and add more data. We're happy with the information in the scan data that we've just picked. We're going to go ahead and clean up this scan. So inspect it closely, use the tools that are provided to you at the bottom of the screen. And let's just go ahead and clean up the excess scan data that's not needed. Okay, move on to the next step. If we're happy with the scan data that we've collected, we can rename that custom abutment now. Single use, you'll see there on the upper portion of this page. And then from here on out, what we're going to do is quite simple. We're going to start scanning that custom abutment once it's been placed in the mouth. And again, generally, these custom abutments, those margins are super subgingival. So we're not too worried about trying to expose that margin right now because we've just created a library with the custom abutment that we had prior to putting it in the patient's mouth. We've picked up the scan data in the patient's mouth. Obviously, it wasn't complete. You guys saw holes there. Single use, we're going to select the abutment 1 that we entered earlier. Let's go ahead and assign it and confirm. You'll see the custom abutment on the screen there to the left of the model. What we're doing here at the bottom of the page is selecting the tooth number. And then from here, you're just going to scan that custom abutment in the same manner you did the scan body and the stock abutment. You'll see as soon as the coloration hits, there you go. It's been merged. It identifies the AI software, identifies the custom about what we're scanning, and it pulls in that library that we just created. And then you can use the data tree here on the left-hand side to just check out your data and make sure you've got everything that you need. And you'll see how clean that margin and all the detail are on that custom abutment. So when sending this to the laboratory, you know that information is good and reliable. All right. So today we've covered all the AI features in Medit. There's many more to come, and we would love to hear any questions that might have come up during the webinar. Please email us at medit.edu@medit.com with your questions, and we'll get back to you with answers. Also, we would love to hear from you regarding future webinar topics or things that in general you would like to learn more about when it comes to scanning the software and so forth. As always, thanks so much for joining the webinar today. We look forward to seeing you next time, and have a great day. Bye-bye.